What is up, guys? Here we have a top 16 deck profile with a man who decided to play what leader?
Purple Luffy.
The Purple Luffy. Okay, so Purple Luffy, what do you think? What are your thoughts about it in this meta? And were you hoping to dodge Dofi?
I think personally Dofi is probably the deck I feel most comfortable playing against.
Okay.
I play against it a lot. The game plan against Dofi I think is just really simple.
Yeah.
You just fight for board and try to stay alive, and you know, the beginning of the games you really just want to rest their guys, try to attack into them, waste their cards, and then once they have no cards in hand, the game becomes a lot easier. But getting to that point is a little bit tricky.
Easier said than done, right?
Yeah. But it is a simple game plan, and when I have a game plan like that, it's really easy to follow through with it, I would say.
Are you checking anything interesting with the list before we go into it? Or maybe you're playing an extra card of something and less of something else?
The Dofi matchup was really difficult for me before I added some boss monsters.
Yeah.
I think those ones are the ones that, they can't get gravity bladed. They have removal aspects.
Yeah.
They will help you end the game quickly, especially, as we'll mention, I play some big moms, you're going to gain them some lives. So fighting through the lives you gain them is a really hard part of it.
Yeah.
Big attacks help with that. Let you use your dawns on your smaller creatures.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so here's his playmat to prove that he got it, and here's his prizing that he got for top 16. So I'm assuming you play Magic and also Yu-Gi-Oh! From your vernacular, I guess, the language.
I played Magic. I don't play any Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay, because you said monster, so I was like, oh, this guy plays Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, let's check out what you got. See what you got playing differently, I guess.
All right, so I guess just to start, this is the MVP of the deck.
Boom, OP-09, baby.
Unplayable without that card.
Unplayable, okay.
Yeah, I would say you go down to 1 life, and this is basically extra lives for you.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful effect, especially when you're in the late game. It makes your opponent mess up a lot of the time. It makes the math for attackers really nasty.
Yeah.
So, most important card in the deck. Then you just got the monster trio. So you got Sanji, Zoro, Luffy. Again, without Luffy Taro, I don't think this deck has the legs. This is what enables your strongest draws. Putting in multiple bodies into play, especially big ones like Sanji, makes it hard for matchups like Lucci to eliminate them easily. And Luffy Taro has a pretty big cost as well.
Yeah.
Zojo, perfect. It's a vanilla stat line with a search that gets most of the cards in the deck. And
yeah, straw hats, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And then obviously you're going to play some more searchers. So the law, just very good. 1K counter, classic searcher. Can get more cards if you want to tech. I didn't have any spicy one-ofs that I could grab with him that weren't straw hats, but he's very powerful. And he's a body that sits around against a lot of matchups like Blackbeard. For the way you beat Blackbeard, you just play a bunch of little crappy guys and you attack in for 5 over and over and over again, and they have to pitch the cards because your Luffy Taro is way too strong in general. So love this guy. Obviously just the searcher for the deck. Every deck plays 4 searchers.
Yeah.
Alright, then I'm going to go into the blockers. So just like Gum Gum Giant, he can't really carry the show all by himself. So I'm going to play 4 Eustace Kids. This one is perfect against Dofi, especially if you lose the die roll. Gives you a really powerful play going second, and it can mess up their math a little bit. You can threaten to block in 2K out of 7s, which Dofi attacks for a lot. He's also a pretty big distraction. If you do rest it, they might waste dawns, and if they're wasting dawns to attack him, they're not applying the board, which is good for you because you really want to get to the later turns where you can clean up their stuff really easily, and if they don't play stuff early, then it becomes easier. 2 Nico Robin, I see a lot of decks not running her. I just think it's really important, especially against Pudding. Early card to play down. The most difficult thing about this deck is against Dofi is when you are forced to counter out of their first attack because they can just Pudding you. With Nico Robin, if they don't have the law to bounce it, it can eat that attack. You get to keep a healthy 5 or 6 cards in hand without overextending into a pudding. If they do bounce it, you can replay it. It's annoying. You could just pitch it to counter. It's not devastating. Just like, for example, Zorojuo getting bounced, he has no counter, and that's usually how they pudding you. Is you play Zorojuo too many times, they'll pudding you, and you just wasted a bunch of time playing him over and over again. You didn't apply any pressure. Really good going second. Demands an answer from the law, and if they don't, then keeps your hand healthy. Onami, been really great. The block you can play that keeps your hand the same size. Played off Luffy Taro, so it's like a half and half, which is the key to this deck is playing half and half. You want to attack them while defending yourself. It is I think the Onami off the Luffy Taro is the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get into the boss monster. So 10K Luffy Rush. This card is just so important when you have so many big monsters already in play. It gives you so much tempo to put another 10K swing in there, draws you a card, only costs 9 so you can hold up a Gum Gum and potentially keep yourself alive, again with that balancing the tightrope with your low life total and aggressive plays. So something I do is I play 3 Sanjis, again against the Doflamingo matchup. It's really good. And similarly to the Rush Luffy, it can give you some tempo. If you have some bodies out, rest something, and you can just send artillery strikes at their rested guys with your other guys in play. I opted for 3 Sanji in spite of 4 Linlin. I only have 3 Linlin. Linlin is a brick. You can't always play it, especially like it'll cost a card in hand. It costs 9 Dons, which sometimes if you get an early Gum Gum Giant, it's hard to pull off. Sanji is a really good backup plan if you don't have a Luffy Taro on 7 Dons because you're really behind in those games. He also has counter, which I like. When I was playing 2 Sanjis, I just found that he was too valuable of a card in too many matchups, and I was hesitant to discard him as a counter. So playing 3 allows me to add more counter to my deck. You might notice I haven't brought up my 2Ks yet.
Yes.
I am light on 2Ks, only 11. So I got 2 Hitokiri Kamoo. I like him over the second and third Frankies just because he's a 4-cost play. You're going first and you're just down bad. You maybe had a mulligan. You could play a 5K body out. He's not as good as Zorojuo, obviously, in a lot of situations, but he has some utility alongside that if he survives, if they don't have the law, especially against Doflamingo. You could abuse his effect to kill their teachers, which is a lot of the time how they get you, is by playing things over and over again with Teach, getting too much value out of their Dons every turn, and they have a lot of card advantage too, so they're getting bored, Don, and card advantage, and that is a guy who will really put a nail in the coffin.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't think you can argue that you need these 8 2Ks. They are Usohachi. You can just rest a blocker, end the game if you're in a bad spot, or sometimes you just have to press the kill you button before you die. Really good with the balance. Sanji, you can get him for 3 a lot of the time. Gum Gum Giant costs 2 Don -2, so it's not uncommon that you can play a 3-cost 6K blocker, which is just a phenomenal play. But again, unlikely that it happens, but it's good to have in case you need it.
Number 2.
And then finally, I have 2 2 Bond plays. And I see a lot of people playing Usopp in this spot. I just think Usopp is not a very powerful card. Similarly, they have 1K counter and they cost 4. Mr. 2 can help you preserve your lives against Dofi, so you can ramp without hurting yourself 1 extra time. Mr. 2 also allows you to have really powerful plays against all the boss monsters in this game. For example, Shanks, Marshall D. Teach, all those 12K bodies. You can just slap 2 of these down before they get to their 10 Don turns, and they have to answer them. If they don't answer them, then you have 2 12Ks, or if you're lucky, you can draw both of them, but at least 1 12K. If they play Teach, they're going to have to freeze it because it's way too powerful.
Which they will most likely do, yeah.
And they're usually low on cards in hand at that point, so your Trafalgar Laws are getting in there for 5. Your 6Ks are really powerful in that matchup. So having them freeze a 4-cost
Yeah, that's
when you
good for
have better things in play is a huge win. Against Shanks, this card is super important, especially near the end of the game. I find it really hard to close against Shanks, and delaying their Shanks by 1 turn because they just slam a Shanks after I played that. Usually I can finish them off because they're low life at that point, and I am too, so I need to finish them off quickly.
Okay, so grind game essentially at the end.
Another reason I opted not to play Usopp, or I think
Usohachi?
it might be Usohachi.
Yeah.
It's a vanilla 4.
Oh,
cost.
yeah, nobody plays that. I don't think so.
A lot I've seen. I think someone who's
Okay,
still
maybe
playing is
maybe I'm
playing
wrong
it.
about that one. Yeah.
So it's mainly it's just to have another body play off Luffy Taro.
Yeah.
Oftentimes you'll have a 7 Dawn turn with a Luffy Taro and nothing to play off of it. These are your biggest hits.
For sure.
I opted to play more Sanjis, which is another 7-cost play that you can play instead of Luffy Taro. It also has the counter that Usopp
Luffy
would have
has.
had.
Yeah.
So I did not miss Usopp. I did not like playing with Usopp when I did. So as for my matchups, I played against Dofi I think 7 times.
Yeah, what were your matchups? Yeah, it was Dofi, and you played 7 Dofis?
Yeah, I played 7 Dofis.
50% win rate?
Let's see. So I won.
Well, it can't be
1, 2,
50% if it's 7. Yeah, so if it's 7,
so
it's more than 50%.
I won against Dofi 4 times and I
Okay.
lost 3 times.
So, what is it, 4 out of
No,
7?
no, it was 8 times. So I.
Oh, it was 8 times, okay.
So I won 5 and I lost 3.
Not bad.
So one of those Dofis I lost was my final opponent. He's a very skilled player.
Yeah, Jonas, right?
Jonas was he was actually 2 of my Dofi losses. I played
twice.
against him
Oh,
in
no.
the in the Swiss. So
Yeah, so skill matters, not just the matchup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And there were times. So I would say I got my biggest complaint about my own deck list is that I don't have a lot of 2Ks.
Yeah.
And a good player can really sniff that out. If they attack for 6
Yeah.
too many times, they'll figure it out. And you really need the 2Ks early on so you don't get puddinged out of the first attack.
Yeah.
So that would be my biggest complaint about my deck, but I don't think I could change any of the cards. If I were to play this deck, I would play the exact same list again.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
So you played it 8 times, you played 8 Dofis. What were the other decks?
I played against Black Killer Luffy. It's not exactly the hardest matchup. You play a lot of annoying bodies. Awakening is risky against you. You can pressure them down and force an early awakening, which will, waste their cards in hand for a later turn to kill you. And their draws, the biggest problem is the punch Luffy. If they can get that down, they can awaken whenever they want, and it gets a little tricky. It's not by any means a free matchup, but they can just die a lot of the time to your aggressive bodies.
Okay.
I played against Shanks. Again, Shanks is a weird matchup. I'm personally probably the deck I feel the least comfortable playing against. Every time I win against Shanks, I just feel like they have so many bricks, and if they had like 1K more counter, I would have lost, and I just got lucky. So not a pro in that matchup by any means. Luckily, I was able to get it.
Yeah.
Again, my opponent just had a bunch of bricks, so didn't feel good about winning that one. I won against Blackbeard. I think Blackbeard is not very good. Very easy deck to play against, especially when you don't rely so heavily on plays.
Yeah, on playability.
I have a bunch of really pathetic bodies like Usohachi. Frankie is amazing against Blackbeard. This is the main reason that you play the Frankie is that pathetic bodies will get you there. You just attack for 5 with Nico Robin, Onami, Usohachi, and they'll just die.
Yeah.
They have to pitch to leader effect a lot of the time, because if they don't, you have incredibly aggressive cards that you can shove down their throats.
Yeah.
You have boss monsters too to save you the Dawns to swing 5s with your pathetic creatures as well.
Yeah.
And their deck is not very aggressive. The way they usually win is by getting multiple Burgesses out and accidentally killing you, but with enough blockers. The blockers are amazing against them too.
Yeah.
Not just because they can swing for 5 later, but because their Burgesses can be negated by them. If they rest their Burgesses too many times, I can kill them, especially if they're going down cards for leader effect.
Yeah.
My other win in the Swiss, other than the multiple Dofis I played, was against Nami. That
Yeah,
deck
that's
is
easy.
that is the easiest,
Yeah.
one of the easiest games. I mean, if they get like 3 triggers off life,
Which is unlikely.
yeah, and they win the die roll, like I would say it's like a sub 20% matchup
Yeah.
if they don't get really lucky.
Okay. Well, it was nice having you on the channel for the first time.
Thank you.
And I don't think this is gonna be your first time, your last time topping. I think you're gonna top more. You seem very informative about Purple Luffy, especially.
Oh yeah, I love Luffy. He's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT. Yes.
Monkey D. Luffy.
So yeah, definitely see you more in the future for sure, Dara.
Thank you.
See ya.
Nice to meet you.